Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Shadow Clan. This is ShadowFeng. First, I'm going to apologize. I was supposed to do a video on Wednesday, but I wasn't feeling very well. And, so yeah. Today, I'm going to be doing my top 10 favorite Pokemon types. My wife did hers, and now I'm going to do mine. So let's get into it. Alright, my number 10 on my list is Dark. The reason I'm putting Dark so low on this list, I think when they first introduced the Dark type Pokemon, they only had a few available, and even though I love Umbreon as a Pokemon, I think getting Eevee to Umbreon stage isn't worth it. I have only done it a few times, even with these newer versions. I just think it's more of a waste of time. But I do love how your Dark Pokemon's defenses, especially against Psychic, is a huge advantage. I love having something that can take down Psychic Pokemon with relative ease. So, for that reason, I'm putting them that low on my list. Number 9 are Fighting types. I love my Fighting type Pokemon, especially Primeape. I think Primeape and Heracross are probably my top 2 Fighting type Pokemon. I like my Fighting types because I like a team with good physical attack, and who better to have to use in a physical attack team than Fighting types with moves such as Superpower, Close Combat, Revenge, so forth and so on. So yeah, that's why I like my Fighting types. Number 8, I'm going Drowned. I like my Drowned Pokemon, once again, more for the physical attack aspect of it. I also like the way they're designed. And I like the movesets of your ground Pokemon. I like how some have the ability of Sandstorm, and you can use Dig, Earthquake, Rock Slide, which are very good in battle, especially Earthquake because that's a multiple Pokemon hit move, which a lot of people use in competitive battling. And it's pretty easy to see why Earthquake is such a popular move with the ground type Pokemon. Number 7, Normal types. A lot of people probably don't like normal types. I know when I was growing up and first got into Pokemon, my best friend hated normal type Pokemon. I like your normal type Pokemon because I think most normal type Pokemon have a high defense stat, and that's another thing I like to have on my team. I love Pokemon with a good defense and a good regular attack. I'm not really into the special attack so much. That's just me. Snorlax is probably one of my all-time favorite normal Pokemon, and not just because he's a defensive wall, but he can learn a lot of different moves, which can make him very useful in battle. He can learn a few TMs as well, such as Surf. And Chansey was also another kind of a surprise when I first raised a Chansey. Once again, that huge moveset, along with her high defense, I thought made her a very valuable member of that particular team. I was going to swap these next 2, but I think I'm just going to leave it the way they are. Number 6 for me are my Fire-type Pokemon. I think the reason they're not in my top 5 is because I think the Fire Pokemon diversity could be better. And I think some Fire Pokemon, such as Charizard, are overrated. I love Charizard, don't get me wrong. It's definitely one of the best Fire starters. But it's not the best Fire starter. And I think a lot of people say that he is, and to me, he's overrated. Like I said, I think the Fire Pokemon moves are awesome, especially if you can get like a combo, like a Dark Fire like Houndoom, or some others are very useful in battle. My favorite Fire starter, I have to go with Emboar. Emboar is just a boss. I love my Emboar. Of course, that fire fighting combo is awesome. I think Emboar's moves are impressive, and he's got a pretty high speed stat as well for a pig, basically. But yeah, so fires are my number 6. Number 5 are Steel Pokemon. Once again, for the physical attack and the defensive aspect. I didn't really raise any Steel types. Ew, good grief. I think the first time I actually raised the Steel type was when I played my Diamond version. So I was kind of late to that, to the Steel Pokemon, and it took me a while to actually find one that I actually did like, but as I started to raise more of them, I really like them. Especially their movesets are extremely powerful, and especially the Pokemon like Aggron, Metagross, and Magnezone. Oh my god, if you have not raised a Magnezone, I implore you to give Magnezone a try. Magnezone was a huge surprise, and it's actually one of my top 10 favorite Pokemon now, I think. Especially with these newer versions and the fairy typing, which I cannot stand. It's good to have a steel Pokemon to wipe them out. Alright. Number 4 are bug Pokemon. I've always loved my bugs. I know bugs kind of get a bad rap. A lot of people think the bug Pokemon are weak. I like bug Pokemon because they're easy to raise for the most part. There's a couple of them that are a little bit of a pain. I like them because they evolve quickly, and they actually can have a very good moveset if you give them time. Some Pokemon, some bug Pokemon have been disappointing, like Mothim, Beautifly, Dusclops, or Dustox, excuse me. They were all very disappointing. But I think for the most part, if you give a bug Pokemon time and you give it a good moveset, I think they can be very valuable to your team, especially now that some of the bugs have Mega Forms, and I just made the Beedrill as like the fastest Pokemon ever. I'm actually looking forward to getting a Mega Beedrill and to try it out for myself. Next, I'm going number 3 are Poison Pokemon. Once again, a lot of Poison Pokemon that I have raised had that high defense stat, which I absolutely love. And to me, that's probably a necessity in most of my teams. I have to have at least 1 or 2 Pokemon with a high defensive stat. I also like Poison Pokemon. Most of their movesets. I like the fact that you have a chance to poison your opponent, which helps you in battle. I like that you can paralyze your opponent as well. On top of that, which once again is helpful in Pokemon battles against trainers. I also like the designs of a lot of the poison Pokemon, like Trobat, Arbok, Muck. I think their designs are cool, their movesets are pretty interesting, and they can do a lot of damage if you raise them properly. Number 2 are Water-type Pokemon. Once again, I know a lot of people that don't like Water Pokemon. I know some that don't even have Water Pokemon in their top 10 lists, which I think is kind of dumb. No offense. I love Water Pokemon, mainly because Water Pokemon's movesets are so versatile now, and they're strong against so many different types of Pokemon. It's kind of crazy. I mean, there's even some Water Pokemon that can learn electric moves on top of Water moves, which can be very, very useful. Moves like Surf, Hydro Pump, Bubble Beam, Water Pulse, very, very good movesets, and just can decimate a team if put together properly. I've even gone through several Water Pokemon teams and haven't really had that much trouble. Actually made it through the game pretty easily with just a Water team. Some of my favorite Water Pokemon, I love my Kingler. Swampert was freaking awesome. Of course, Blastoise. Once again, I like Gyarados, but I think he's overrated and overused. I'm kind of tired of Gyarados. I have not raised him loaded yet, but my wife says I need to try one. So I guess I will try one of those eventually. And finally, for my number 1 type, and please remember that this is our opinion. I don't want any comments that are mean toward our opinion. Everybody has their own opinion. But please, no hate comments. My number 1 favorite are my grass-type Pokemon. I have always been in love with grass-type Pokemon for a couple reasons. First off, Pokemon. I find grass Pokemon very easy to raise, except for the exception of Torterra, who I will never, ever raise again. Torterra was absolutely terrible. But other than that, I think their grass Pokemon, I mean, they evolve relatively quickly. I like their move sets. I know that they have kind of gotten a bad rap over these next few generations because they're not strong to anything anymore. So Game Freak, give grass Pokemon relevance again, please. But the main reason I like my grass-type Pokemon is my very first starter back when I was 12 years old, Pokemon Blue, on my little Game Boy, was Bulbasaur. So there you go. Bulbasaur was my very first starter. I fell in love with it right away. I think all 3 stages are freaking awesome. I think Bulbasaur's first stage is actually one of the cutest Pokemon I've ever seen. And when I finally got it to Venusaur, I just thought that Venusaur could, like, rule the forest. You know, it's a damn dinosaur with a tree going out his back. I mean, come on. But anyway, that was my list of my top 10 favorite Pokemon types. I hope you enjoyed. Please give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And have a good day. Bye.